What's going on? Move the Mouse here, back in City Skylines, the town of Santa Rico, episode number 21. I think I'm right. I lose track. I do it all the time, or at least every couple episodes. So, in the last episode, we had talked about wanting to fix this intersection right here. Or I should have said this segment to this segment, because we were having some slowdown here. And it was backing up horribly here, and it was just kind of causing all kinds of traffic problems. The nice thing is, as far as what I did on the roads, pretty much nothing. What I did do, let's pause it, and let's get into Metro View. What I did do was do a very basic Metro over here, just around Old Town and Applegate Hills. And then previously, I had a route that went from the airport to Industrial and back. That's all it did. And I basically hooked the airport up in a loop. So airport to Industrial to this station here, and then it loops back around to the airport. And then it does a 180 turnaround. So that lets people kind of hook in from anywhere in the city to the airport. And then the airport connects into this loop. So it makes it really easy to get around this part of town and then to hook into the rest of the town with Metro. Aside from converting a couple busy 6-lane roads into roads with bike lanes and doing that Metro, that's basically all I did, and it solved our traffic problem here. I didn't do any modification to the roads. I started to look at it and I said, hey, let me go think about adding some bike lanes in. Let me change some of those things around. So I did not do bike lanes on these rotaries or roundabouts, if you will, that I kind of created. You know, they're not really round, they're diamond shaped, right? But those were already moving pretty well. We had some really heavy traffic over here in the city, and it's not terrible. It's not the best, but it's not terrible. But I've changed some of those heavier roads to give people more. Wow, look at that. Look at all the bikers. Thank you. Thank you for helping reduce our traffic problems and keeping yourselves healthy at the same time. That is awesome. So many people using those bike lanes. Those are all cars that could be on the road that are not. So this intersection's moving pretty good. This one's a little slow, kind of taking that slow, tight turn to get on the other highway. But things are moving. Things are moving pretty good. So I haven't looked at this. I think our traffic was down below 70%. And we're up to 74 now. So we've still got some intersections that we could focus on here or there. Right? This intersection coming off the highway is still bad, but it's not backing up onto the highway, which is good. I'm seeing more traffic on this, but this thing can handle just so much traffic. Just not really being used. If we could make all our kind of cloverleaf connections this big, we would be fine, but then we would have a ton of the space of the map tied up in these gigantic intersections. You'll notice that we do have a death wave going on. It's pretty bad, but we're going to ignore that for this episode. And what I wanted to focus in on was over here. So this is a new little block, if you will, that I've started to spin up. And before I got too far and actually built and zoned on it, I wanted to start recording again and kind of talk through this, because I got some ideas for this. So this is handling traffic pretty well, and this comes in from the city from these two highways that connect on the Cloverleaf. And there's metro service not too far away. There's some bicycle lanes that run through the middle. But I thought what we could do is kind of have a fun commercial zone, because that's by far our biggest demand right now. I think I've mentioned it previously. We've got a little bit of residential demand happening, but we still have some pockets that I want to fill out. So there's some low density over here, up in the hills near our party house, the tennis court and the bouncy castle. There's also a couple little blocks up here. Let me see. Ooh, we are running out of room up here, so we're starting to really fill out over here, which is nice. I like that. We're almost maxed out here, so people will start moving into these houses in the hills. I want to spin up maybe another couple neighborhoods off of here and use some of that relatively flat space, and use some of that relatively flat space near the prison here. Not too close to the prison, but maybe we'll throw one house right next door, just for fun. So I wanted to kind of focus in on this area over here and meet some of that commercial demand that seems to constantly be climbing up. And I thought, since we've got decent highway access and a little kind of mini city center over here, we could do some noisy stuff over here. So, districting wise, I've started to find a district here, and I've marked it off as tourism, and I want it to basically be these 2 center blocks. So, you know, you come in off the highway, there's going to be some hotels and restaurants and stuff like that. Stuff that's fun for the tourists that come into the city. Maybe we could throw a couple more of our uniques over here somewhere. There's still some spots we could zone off. But then I also wanted to do maybe like around this last part of the block. And let's zone that off right now. I was thinking over here, we could do some nightclubs and stuff since they're super noisy. So we could make like this last block all leisure. So I don't know why I'm doing that with a small tool. Let's do this. I'm using the small tool here because I want to be precise about going up the road. I don't think there's a way on consoles. If there is, I haven't found it. I didn't mean to do that. I meant to connect this into the same zone. But you can snap zone creation, or rather, oof, I mean do that. You can snap district creation to the roads. You kind of do, whoops, what I'm trying to do here. Why is it doing that? Okay, let's just do this correctly, and we don't have to go in and de-zone anything or de-district anything. So I want to do that. Now we can get our bigger brush out. We can rename these after the fact. But that way we can keep kind of the real noisy stuff up there. We could even cram some offices over here because we do have a little bit of industry demand. So we can mix and match that in like this block right here. A couple office blocks. We'll do some offices over here by the trains. And then, come to think of it, before I finish zoning this off, we're gonna have to go in and fix some zoning because I figured what would be fun over here is to do a little monorail park, kind of. So once you come in here, we'll connect maybe one more metro stop up. But I thought it'd be fun to kind of get around this area with some monorails, because we hadn't done that yet. And I forgot that I wanted to do that because we're gonna have to, one, fix the zoning. Two, we're gonna have to break some of these roads. 1, 2, let's do a third. Let's just keep things symmetrical. I like to when possible. So we'll come out over here, straight tool. It's gonna be a little tight by the train tracks there. See if it'll let us do that. So I'm going into the road tool, 4-lane roads with monorails, and I'm just upgrading. And you'll notice here, it should auto connect that curve, right? As long as it's able to. But you do want to keep an eye on that. You can also do monorail tracks completely independently, but here I'm going to do it right along the roads. Now, I know I've talked about it before. Anyone who's in Chicago or been to Chicago and has heard the L, or the elevated train, knows that it is some of the most horrible racket, at least that I've ever heard in my life, certainly in any urban setting. The L is a super cool looking concept, which is incredibly noisy. The monorails themselves are probably a little bit, you could imagine in theory, a little bit more well-designed than the slightly outdated L in Chicago. But it does have a remarkable impact on noise. So let's figure out where we want to put our stations, because we are going to knock out some of the roads and kind of reassemble them after the fact. We'll grab our... You can see how often I do this. I don't even know where they are. So you can do a monorail station, which is just connecting pipe up, right? There's no road here. You also have monorail station with a road. So ideally we would do that. There's also a monorail bus hub. So basically built-in bus stop, which is kind of cool. And then there's this one, which also has train lines. So you can have trains coming into a part of the town which carry people over longer distances, and then people can switch over within the same building to monorails, and then take that around, you know, your smaller park like we're doing here. So let's find a spot to do the monorail station with road. And let's figure out where we want to take people to. I think we want to take them down to the middle here. Let's see, 2 segments on either side. We'll delete that segment. I think we might have to delete a little more. You see, I hate this that like it's not an even segment. You should just be able to plop that in, right? So we'll do that. You'll notice that these are 4-lane roads that I'm doing. Divider in the middle, and the monorail track is above that. And here we're creating a station. People can walk up the stairs on either side to get to the monorail track. And unlike trains, trains are, where are the train tracks? The train tracks, see, there's 2 rails, one on either side of the train cars. So 2 rails, 2 rails. The monorails ride on a single rail. The name monorail, right? 1 rail. So there's an inbound and an outbound, a right lane and a left lane there, and they take traffic in opposite directions. So let's delete this segment just so we can recreate this. I think actually at the end of the monorail, yeah, is the 4-lane road, so we can reconnect that. So we've got our little monorail station there. I wouldn't mind putting one kind of over here near the center. I think that would be cool. And then we could do one up here, and then one on the other side, kind of like a 4 corners approach. So let's do that. We'll delete this segment in advance. We've got the bulldozer out because we know we're going to have to clear 2 segments. And then we will snap that in. And this is just for moving people around this area. It may not be the most trafficked, but we hadn't done this yet, and I just wanted to... I wanted to do this. There's, you know, certainly ways we could plan it in the future. So let's see. I don't know if it's going to let me do this road. I might have to reconnect these a little differently. Oh, no, it does. Okay. So they're a little off-center. You can mess around with them a bit if you want. It does create... There's a ton of crosswalks happening there. I also haven't fixed my traffic lights over here yet. We will do that. And I want to get one over here, somewhere near kind of this entrance, if you will, right? So that we can bring people to here, and then they can use the monorail to get around this part. So let's delete those 2, and we'll throw it right here. And again, hopefully it will let me connect. Sometimes it's a little funny about the roads. We'll go to the bus stop looking thing, and we'll do what we've done before, which is a clockwise and counterclockwise route. Super simple. Not too much to this, but I just wanted to get some different aspects, right? This little park right here, this little business park, and give some people some ways to get around the city. And hopefully reduce some traffic, although this is more of a local service thing than it is carrying people over long distances like a train or a metro. So that gives us some ways to get around here. Now we want to think about our zoning fairly carefully. We've already defined, from a district perspective, this district, which will be tourism focused commercial. We're gonna have a couple blocks of office. And then this over here by the highway, by the airport, by the monorail. This is going to be a very noisy area anyways, so we're going to do leisure-focused commercial, which is 24/7, super loud. And then I wouldn't mind tucking in some residential maybe here. They're not going to like the monorail side of things, so we'll have to bring a hospital over here to treat all the noise-sick people. But we've got some demand climbing up, so let's do this. We'll define all this interior block as residential. We'll break out our zoning tool and we'll fix what we broke before by adjusting the road size, and we'll make that all office space all the way up. Do we go all the way up to the train tracks, or do we give them a break here? Let's give them a break here. That might look silly with a bunch of really, really small offices. We'll do offices around the outside here. I think that's okay. And then same thing on the interior. We can do some more office space. We've got a decent amount of industrial almost all the time, so... this piece, though... Yeah, no, we'll do office there. So we'll go to commercial here, and this is going to be, again, leisure focused. So let's go to our commercial specializations. We'll stamp leisure on there. We've already stamped tourism on that. Residential wise, let's make these green buildings. So we'll district over here. I'll go small so that I don't mess up, and I'm just going to try and draw right on the other side of this district, right up the road. If we get crooked, we can fix it later. And it doesn't matter if we go a little over on this side because we're only going to define residential specializations, so anything else won't really matter. So I did a new district there, didn't I? Okay, let's drag that down. Let's fix this. Okay. Back over to residential, make it green buildings. And then I think what we can do, and we haven't done this yet, is if you go into your inspector tool, and then you go into districts, you can set district specific settings. So I can rename a district here. You can go into district policies. And there's a couple that we hadn't done yet. So some of these are applied across the entire city. I want to find... I don't think it's under this. What's the let go of leisure one? I forget what that one is. We don't need the money, so specifically this leisure zone that we're setting up over here, we could make it more appealing. So just for fun, we'll go into district policies. We have Lilac Park selected. Taxation, and all the way at the bottom is let go of leisure. So no tax income, but a hefty boost in their entertainment and attractiveness. If we'd done this much earlier, it would increase the kind of happiness effect in that area. Since we have Eden Project and 100% pollution reduction, all the land value is already maxed out, so it doesn't really matter. But just for fun, we'll say, hey, you don't have to give us any tax money on this street. Basically, just go do your thing, make people happy. Under city planning, we have a high-tech housing option, and I had not turned this on. Turns homes into much cooler, smart homes to raise land value around them. So I want to enable this over here, just to see. Somebody had mentioned in the comments, what happens if you have green and high-tech? And I don't know, but this will be our little experiment here. So we have the green housing, but also high-tech housing. They're going to have to level up. They're going to start smaller, but eventually they will level up. They'll be taller and high-techer. I know that's not the correct... it's not, I know that's not English, but whatever. So let's finish zoning this out. Just make sure we've got everything where we want it. Because I'm pretty happy with what we're doing here. We've got office space. I don't want high rises over here on the edge of the map. Right, because it really is the edge of the map. We're running out of room. So we'll do regular office space here, leisure here, tourism, residential that is high-tech and green, and then office space on either side. We've got our monorail lines all set up. Let's look at uniques, because those eat up a ton of space. We've done all of those. We've done all of these that we've unlocked. We haven't done some of the modder packs. Do we want any of the landmarks? I don't know if any of these are appropriate over here. Eiffel Tower may not be bad. Grand Central Terminal might be kind of cool. This is really just a personal preference, right? We do want to consider getting the ChirpX launch site at some point. So this will actually let you launch rockets, public space transport. It does require products from oil and ore buildings, so I don't know if that can be exported externally. If we don't have those, it might be kind of interesting to know, but it does let me build it, so maybe we can find that out. Traffic park. So this is where people can learn to drive. It's a landmark building. Let's find a spot for that. So it wants to go the long ways here. So if these three are all residential, let's throw this kind of as an attraction over here, if it'll let me orient that way. And that looks okay. Go learn about traffic in a safe way, kids. I would also like to throw in Grand Central. But it's a biggin. It is a biggin. So maybe we throw it up here? Could do that. We could kind of throw it on this office block. I'm going to throw it on here. I'm going to throw it right there. It's a very cool building. I wish it actually functioned as a train terminal. I'm sure somebody has modded that. And again, this is why you want to flatten buildings before, or flatten lots before you put them down, because those, whoever's paying rent for those buildings in the bottom left, hopefully is not paying for a window view, because you can't really see out there. Your awnings are kind of in the pavement. Not kind of, they are. That awning is absolutely buried in the cement. I wonder, they must have installed those first, then poured the concrete for the sidewalk and thought that's fine. It's a very, very stoic bald eagle down there. Let's go get a look. Can I jump up on top of it? That would be great. A stoic cougar on top of a stoic. Oh man, if I was a cougar and I was hungry, I would just stand up here and pretend to be a statue, and then when pedestrians walk by, just pounce on them. Yeah, this is pretty bad right here. Can we get under there? Nope. Oh, you can actually see... I was gonna say you can see the interior of the building, but no, you see a reflection of an imaginary city in the background that obviously isn't there because there's no skyscrapers behind us. Okay, back... Enough sidetracking. Very cool building. I like it. Chirpex we'll figure out in the future. I think that's pretty good there. Do we want to do any modern buildings? So you've got like different skyscrapers and stuff. Some of them are kind of cool. Electric car factory. Find a spot for that. Maybe over by the airport. We'll throw that over here by the zoo. We still want to save a little bit of room for hopefully a cargo airport over here. We'll try and squeeze that in. What else do we have for modern? Nanotechnology Center. We already put the Robotics Institute. Research Center. Can we cram more stuff into our college campus here? That stadium's eating up a ton of my research room. It would let me do it. I can plant trees real fast if I need to take this out, so, right? Man, I need to flatten lots. If I'm gonna do a big build like this, a big campus build, we should really flatten it out first. Prevent stuff like that from happening. I don't know, I kind of liked it with the trees better before the Robotics Institute and the Research Center, but let me know what you think in the comments down below. Should we kind of expand this out? Should we maybe move the stadium? Should we flatten out over here and make this kind of a ridge that drops off? Or do you kind of like the look of it? I feel like we could use this space if we flattened it off and turned it into a bit of a plateau. How's our waterlogged train station doing? It's finally recovered. We're good. We're golden. Like, it never even was a problem. Perfect. Let's hit play. Let's see what we've got here in the last couple modder packs. Semiconductor plant, software development studio, space shuttle launch site. That's before they added the chirper, I think. Television station. So, I mean, yeah, software development studio. Let's find a spot for that. Oh, it would help if I watered over here, right? Can we cram this in next to... It looked like it would let me. All right, we'll do it right there. It's kind of a cool building. I like it. Starboard software. Let's, before people complain too much, because I forget some of the basics sometimes, let's water this network. Power it. At this point, I really don't have to worry about connecting just $440 worth of pipe. I'm pretty sure we've got money to spare if we wanted to overlap a little too much water. Now, electricity is going to be a little bit funny over here because you can see that depending on the zoning, people aren't necessarily moving in next to one another. But we could extend some power lines to the metro stations to start, and then hopefully that will spread power enough before people move out. Let's see where we can run it from. So this is all powered right here. We could go this way over the highway. I don't want to eat up too much of my zoning because I want... Okay, we're going to get real crazy with these in the short term because I don't want to eat up my zoning here. I want as many buildings to move in and turn this into a fun little nightlife area. I'm not as concerned if offices don't move in right away, so if we can get it right there... No. That should connect okay. Then we'll come back in behind here. Connect that up. And let's see. We can jump from here. And again, I'm not worried about that block zoning off as much. So everything that's there is powered. It's all spreading. So we should be able to delete those lines soon enough. We already saw a monorail moving around. Let's take a look at it. See it zip into the station here. So they did change the noise pollution mechanics. Previous to the last update, it was based on the type of road. Now it's actually based on the traffic. So you could have a road that was like not even connected to anything, and it would generate some sort of noise before. Now it's based on what is actually happening traffic-wise down there. So if we go into info views, go to our headphones. Ugh. So you can see kind of where all our uniques are. You can see where our heavy traffic intersections are. You can see the stadium is awful at noise. So we've tried to kind of spread those out. You don't want too many uniques right next to one another because that's what happens right here. You have all this horrible noise spillover. So you want to be careful that it's not happening too close to your residence. You can see how bad the airports are, how bad industry is in general. Prison is, man, those guys get loud. And girls. There's bad people all over. And we already established that this is a co-ed prison with terrible fences. Just in case you hadn't seen it, let me show you the security that they have here. You just walk right through the fence. And it's not just a cougar thing. Anybody can walk through. Not very secure. So we'll trench that off or something. Maybe we'll do, oh, you know what'd be cool? A moat running around it, and we could do like sewage output. Be like Shawshank, right? So you can see like the noise is pretty terrible. It's actually a little bit better on the monorail than it used to be, but the monorail stations themselves generate noise. You can see here that these are residential buildings, and it's the monorail station that is noisy, not the residents. That's what green high tech looks like, by the way, at level 1. Let's give them some incentive to enjoy living next to all the noise a little bit and see if we can cram a park or two in here before we call it a day. So that kind of fits in right there nicely. I like that. And maybe we could do a Japanese garden over here somewhere for something a little different feel. Cheer people up over here. That's nice. We haven't thrown in the theme park yet. We can do that somewhere. Come up with a fun spot for that. You know where would be a great spot for that? You're already in the city. You're already visiting. Oh, we're gonna have to smooth out the slope there, but we will. I think that would be a cool spot for that. Maybe we'll move the zoo, kind of flatten this out a little bit, for the theme park across from there, so you can come in, kind of have like a park day. Hit the zoo, hit the theme park, ride some rides, feed some animals, rip Harambe. So that's a pretty good start, I think, for this little area here. We'll see how this grows. We saw, I think the first business that moved in was a nightclub. What is this? Game station, an arcade. All right, well, on that note, I will see you later because I am going to play some games. Very meta. So if you enjoyed the video today, likes, comments, shares all help the channel a lot and are greatly appreciated. We'll continue all the fun on the next episode and see how this zone grows and establishes itself here in our new little corner of the city. If you're new here, subscribe for more, hit the bell to get notifications, and until the next one, this is Move the Mouse signing off.